Okay, now guys, our last country for this week is Ukraine. I have a friend, well, you know her, I've had her on here before, it's Laura, and her mother is from Poland. So I was really interested last year in learning about the traditions in Poland. And you guys, the traditions in Poland, there are so many, and they are so rich and beautiful. I really encourage you guys to look up. There is so much I could tell you. I can't fit it all in here. There are just a few highlights I wanted to hit for you that have to do with what we do. Now, on Christmas Eve in Ukraine, the children would watch for the brightest star in the sky. And once the meatless meal was prepared, they wouldn't eat meat on Christmas Eve. But once it was prepared, their parents or their mother or whoever would tell them, watch for the brightest star. And when the brightest star appeared, the father or the head of the household would come in and he would greet the family members with a special greeting. And he would come in carrying a sheaf of wheat that was really pretty and decorated, or I don't know if it was tied with a ribbon. I just know from the reading that it was really pretty. So he would greet each one of them. And sometimes, guys, usually there would be straw or hay on the floor to symbolize how Mary and Joseph had to give birth to Jesus in an odd way. Most people wouldn't give birth in a manger, but they did, and that hay was there to remind them of that. But the tradition evolved to where they wouldn't use the big stalk of wheat or the big sheaf of wheat. They would just use a smaller sheaf of wheat that might be tied with a red ribbon. There are even miniature versions that people would use and just place in their home. But I did mean to say that sheaf would be placed on the corner of the dining room table in the original tradition. But now they're just displayed in the home somewhere. When we do it, we will put ours on the side table here in the dining room. Now also, they can also use like miniature sheaves and a flower arrangement on their table. I just thought that was so neat. Those are such rich traditions and things that people had just moved away from. It's become so secular and so commercialized, and so everything just bought from a store. And I love that richness of it just coming from their land, something they would do there with their home. Excuse me. And sometimes they would use, pardon me, oat stalks. And those oats would be taken from the stalks. Oh, forgot the important part. Those sheaves would be left in the home until Epiphany, when they would be sprinkled with water that had been blessed from the church. And then those sheaves would be fed to the farm animals. But they would also pull some of the oats off, and the youngest boy in the family would scatter those at a relative's home, and he would give them a blessing for health and good luck and prosperity for the year. And then he would be rewarded with either baked goods or money or both, I guess if he was really lucky. Now, in the cities where the space was cramped and it didn't have a lot of room, and even sometimes in the homes that were not in the city, the people there would take, and maybe they still do, I don't honestly know, have a white tablecloth or a tablecloth that had a lot of white in it, that would be ironed and crisp and clean and perfect, and they would put hay up under the tablecloth. Instead of putting it on the floor and making a huge mess, they would just have it there just as a reminder of Mary and Joseph. Isn't that great, you guys? That's such a beautiful tradition, something so unique and different. And I alluded to it before, but the meal on Christmas Eve would be meatless, and those who could afford it would have 12 dishes. Normally, especially here in America, we just have one meal and you might have a meat and two sides, maybe a bread. Yeah, 12 dishes, and they were all meatless. And one of those dishes could include cabbage rolls, but their cabbage rolls would be meatless. Now, I am feeding a husband and a growing boy, and we don't follow the tradition exactly. We just give a nod to it. So our cabbage rolls will have sausage in them along with rice, but I love that tradition. Last year we made, I cannot do the word justice, I can't pronounce it, but it's, I want to call it pierogi when I look at it, but I don't think that's right. But it's like a little dumpling that's stuffed with a cheese mixture. We did make those last year homemade, and they were beautiful. At the end of the video, I will show you some pictures of those. There is one little last legend and tradition from Ukraine that I forgot to tell you. Actually, the origins are not quite clear, whether it's Ukraine, Germany, Poland, but in those countries, finding a spider on your tree or a web is considered good luck. And there is a little legend that goes that there was once this woman who had 8 children, and she was very poor, and she didn't know how she was going to provide Christmas for them. And she found a Christmas tree and she decorated it, but she was very tired and very weary as she went to bed. And she was dreading having to face her children's disappointed faces that morning. But as she went to bed, there were little spiders in the house who had seen her working so hard, and they came out and spun webs all over the tree to decorate it for her children as a surprise. And whether it was the spiders or Santa, one way or the other, the webs turned to silver. And when the children got up in the morning, they were so excited and so surprised because not only had the webs been turned to silver, but Santa had also delivered presents. And there's a more detailed version of that legend, but I thought you might enjoy hearing about that. Now, this beautiful little spider is one that my sister made, and she gave it to me, and it's all beads. How beautiful is that? And I hate spiders, but I loved this one when I saw it.
These are the cabbage rolls. Let me show you what I did.
I am frying up some onions. We are doing Poland, Christmas in Poland, or the Ukraine. And so we are making some cabbage rolls. Now, I've already cooked up some rice, and we have fried some sausage, just 1 pack of sausage. I had an actual recipe from my friend's mother who is from Poland, but I can't seem to find it, so I just found this one online. And again, guys, we don't always just try to make it as authentic as possible. I just want to give my children an awareness of Christmas in other countries. So, might not be exactly right, but our onions are translucent. It's hard to tell in this light. Let me switch on our other light. Okay, there are the onions. So what I will do now is toss the sausage back in. Pardon me. Alyssa had to go get tomato soup for me. There's the sausage, and I'll be right back. I'm going to pour in the rice, but I need both hands for that. Okay, this is 2 to 3 cups of sausage. Excuse me. Rice. I'll just add in a little salt and pepper and just warm it through, and we'll sit it to the side. A lot of recipes I found also said to use a garlic clove or a few garlic cloves. This recipe I'm using right now does not say to use that, but I went ahead and put in some garlic powder with my salt and pepper. I'm just going to mix it up and move it off of the eye. Okay, guys. Now, last night I took my head of cabbage and cut the core out and blanched it for 5 minutes in boiling water, but I did not read my directions well enough. You were supposed to actually take these leaves off and lay them flat before you freeze them. And guess who didn't do that? But that's okay, we're just gonna go with this. We're gonna make it work. This is not gonna be perfect, but we're gonna make the best of it. So I'm just gonna cut out this hard stem. Now, it says to lay it in your palm. This is actually 2 leaves. Uh-oh. Whoops. Like I said, we're just gonna make it work. This definitely is not a how-to. I'm just showing you what we do. In fact, I'm not even going to give you the full recipe because this is not my recipe or a recipe I've been given permission to share. So, anywho, we're going to put in about 2 tablespoons of the sausage and rice mixture. And then we're going to fold this over. And I can't remember how I wrapped them last time. Just roll them up. I tucked in the sides. And just roll just like that. And the pan here is supposed to have a mixture of tomato soup, but I didn't have it yet. So when Alyssa gets home, we'll just remove what we have rolled. I'm in a hurry. We're trying to get to a Christmas play tonight, but I need this done so it can sit for tomorrow. I'm going to lay these flat. I need both of my hands. 1, 2. Fold over the sides and roll. I should have gone to a different YouTuber and figured out how to roll these again. I did them perfectly last year. I just don't remember how I did them. So anyway, you get the idea. You just keep going until you run out of either the cabbage leaves or the mixture. Especially Laura and Miss Trudy. Miss Trudy, I'm trying my best to do this right for you and Laura, but I am not doing this recipe justice. I am about to take some liberties with this recipe because I'm in too big of a hurry. It's just that time of year, guys, and that's my life. I've been gone all day. We had a co-op Christmas party this morning. We were there for a few hours, and then I had to come home and finish this. So, what I'm going to do is partly right. I'm going to line the bottom of the pan with a little bit of the sauce. Spread it out. And this is what you would do with the original recipe. I remember doing this last year, and I had the same problem. I had more of the filling for the cabbage than I had cabbage leaves. Maybe the cabbages in the Ukraine grow bigger than here in America. I don't know. I know they get some pretty big ones in Alaska. Anywho, that's neither here nor there. Now, here's where I'm taking some liberties with this. I'm going to put the mixture that's left over on the bottom because I don't want to waste it. And I know if I put it in the refrigerator, it will not get eaten. So, here we go. guys. Remember, this is not the way it's supposed to be done. Okay. Now, I'm just going to take my cabbage rolls from this dish and put them in here. Ooh, they're watery. Let's see, it's kind of right. This cabbage roll was not pretty at all. It was ugly. But it is what it is at this point. Did I tell you what this mixture was? It's a can of tomato soup with about a half a can of water. Sorry. Not the mixture, but the sauce. Now see, these came out perfectly. They're really pretty. I don't know what the deal was. So, there we go. There's that. And now, I'm going to pour the rest of the sauce over the rolls. And when I serve this, I will probably serve it with some mashed potatoes. We're not eating it today. This will be Sunday. And that's the great thing about this meal. You can make it ahead. Thank goodness. Because I really needed that this weekend. Got to play tonight, and that's in Thomaston, and I go back tomorrow morning because I have a breakfast. I had to go 45 minutes the other way today for the co-op Christmas party. That's what I don't like about this part of the year, but that's part of it. It'll be great memories later. So I'm just going to cover this with foil, and I'll put it in the refrigerator. And we'll cook it either tomorrow night or Sunday. So there you go, guys. All right, we're going to go ahead and put out the sheaf of wheat because we're doing Ukraine today. And I'm about to put the cabbage rolls in the oven to cook. And there's our wheat. Let me get you. Thank you. Okay, let's get this plastic off because that would not be very pretty in the oven. And I am completely out of foil except for these little sheets. So the little sheets will have to do today. Let's just put this in the oven for about an hour and forget about it. Until it's time to eat, of course. You don't want to totally forget about it and burn it. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I am really enjoying sharing these traditions with you. I hope you find inspiration in there somewhere to incorporate maybe one or two or 3 or 4, maybe all of them in your family eventually. I sure didn't start out with all of them. But in any case, thank you for joining me. And until we meet again, may you be blessed.
Before I leave you completely, these are the pictures of the pierogies that I told you I would show you at the end of the video. These also were not meatless. I do have a recipe for a cheese filling, but I used a meat mixture in these.